Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining our segment today. My name is Leslie, and I am part of the adoption team here with Litera. And I'm going to be going through some parts of our ribbon, specifically with going over DocXtools Companion and Contract Companion. And this is actually one of my favorite sort of workflows, and I'll call out some of my favorite tools in these two buttons or ribbons, just so you know kind of how I use this, how I recommend other people use it. But I'll start off just by letting you know that my ribbon might look a little bit different than yours. So don't fret if you see something you don't recognize. We can definitely address any issues or questions or concerns after. But I just kind of wanted to go through some quick tips and tricks for some of our tools. So with that, again, depending on how your ribbon is configured, you can either see your set of tools under the Home button or under the Litera tab. So you'll see here, my set of buttons for all of our Litera tools are under this tab here. And so today I'll specifically be talking about these buttons here under our review section, and then these here under repair. And so you'll see with this set of review buttons, this is for Contract Companion. So it's not called out here anymore as a product name, but it's really just going to be how it's configured on your machine. But it's your proofreading or your review set of tools. And so you'll see here, I have some buttons that may not look familiar to you. You might have some different sets, but really we'll spend a lot of time going through our Analyze task pane here, and I'll go into that in more detail very shortly. The next set of buttons that you'll see, I'll go through and speak to in more detail, are my repair set of buttons here. And so really, these two work super well in tandem. This is your DocXtools companion set of tools here. It consists of these 5 buttons. And really, once you're done reviewing all of the items in your document that could have potential issues or just need to be addressed, then you can use these set of tools here within your repair or DocXtools companion set of tools to fix those issues. And the whole purpose behind this is to make this a lot easier for you. These are common word issues or things that might need to be addressed. And that's really what these set of tools are here to help for, is just to make that easier for you. And really, you're going to want to use these sets of tools. We promote them for the end user, they're for the lawyers, and they're just to ease your drafting life cycle. So if you're working on a document at 2 o'clock in the morning and you don't have access to your word processing team or a secretary or someone who usually assists you, you can get to some, fixing some of your major issues with these sets of tools here. And again, they work really well in tandem with each other. So I'll go through both of those in more detail. And the whole point of these tools is really, again, to give you time back so that you can spend more time focusing on nurturing your client relationships instead of coming through your documents and doing a lot of proofreading and repairing on things that should be sort of simple, kind of mundane tasks. So with that, I'll jump right in and I'll call out some best practices along the way. But we'll start here with our Analyze task pane. Move my little window. And so see, once you click on Analyze, you'll see here on the right-hand side, we have our Contract Companion task pane. And so with this front tile here, the one on top, you'll see all of the risk that relates to this document. And you can see that here, it's indicated. You can also see here, we have flags or attention items, and you can look at anything that may or may not be filtered. And really, again, the point of this is to quickly get to the risk that may exist within your document so that you can fix those issues. You can do that using your risk assessment link here or by going into each individual tile here. And so I'll kind of show you how I go through the workflow, but again, this is just a suggestion. You're welcome to reorganize these tiles by dragging and dropping them any way that you see fit. So again, just a suggestion of how I would use these tools, but not the only limitations. There's definitely a lot that this can do. So with that, I'll also point out some icons for you that you may or may not recognize, but you'll see the triangle with the exclamation point in here. This lets you know that there are attention items. Something in here could potentially be risky. It needs your review. You'll see here we have a box with a check mark in it. It's green. This lets you know that everything is good within this tile. And you'll see that in other areas. Again, just lets you know that an issue that we may have looked at and resolved is exactly that. It's no longer an issue, it's resolved. And then you'll see this informational icon here. It's the circle with the exclamation point in it. And again, this is just calling out things that may or may not be an issue, but something that Contract Companion wants to bring to your attention. Because again, you're going to know this document the best. And so you can review these hopefully pretty quickly and determine what you need to do to fix this document so that you can finalize it and send it out. And we understand, again, that these tools are really to ease your workflow so that you can send out a document that you're proud of. We know your reputation a lot of times relies on these. And so again, this is just going to flag some items and issues for your review. So we'll go through the task pane here, and then I will jump into our DocXtools companion set of tools as we work through this. So you'll see kind of how they come into play. So if we look here first, we see we have our defined term issues here. And so it'll list everything here in the task pane for you. And one thing I like to call out is next to category here, we have our hamburger menu here. So if you click that, you'll see more options. And what I like to do is always sort risk first. Again, this is supposed to be a time-saving tool for you. So if you quickly sort your risk at the top of this list, you can go through them a lot faster and really fix the issues that need to be addressed instead of going through them one by one and looking for the risk items throughout this task pane. So again, just a best practice, I like to call that out, something that you can do. And so if we look here at some of the items that are listed in the task pane, you'll see one of them is closing date. So this is bringing it to our attention because it's used but not defined. So you can see that here. And again, it gives you a little description in the task pane and lets you know. This term is not defined in the document, but we can see here under quantity and next to closing date that this is used 7 times within your document. You can move to each instance of this within your document by clicking the little arrows here. So again, we know that this term is used within this document. And so we're probably going to want to add it to our definitions list. And so you can do that here directly within the document. And you're going to want to make sure that the formatting is the same because that's one of the items that this picks up for you in order to recognize that this is a defined term. So you can see I went ahead and added this to our definitions list. I mean, you can continue the definition. You can see here it's directly within your document. And now you can see on the right-hand side that closing date is no longer listed as an issue in here. So you can see it just fell off the task pane. And this task pane will automatically update after about 6 seconds. If you're ever in a rush or, I just like to call out that there is a refresh button down here. So you can press that button to speed up the process a little bit. But, usually you can continue working through your document and automatically things will fall off the task pane. So it's nice. The other issue that this is bringing to our attention here is for parties. And so this lets us know that parties is defined but not used. So the term is in your definitions list, and you can see that here as it's grayed out or highlighted for you, but it doesn't exist anywhere in the document. So again, you know this document the best. So it's really up to you to make a determination as to what needs to be done. Did you mean to include parties in this document, or is this a definition that has no purpose here? So when you're at the end of your document and you're ready to finalize it and you know that you're not going to use parties anywhere within your document, you can just come right into the definitions list and remove that there. And so again, it's just going to point that out to you that you have terms in here that could be in your definitions list or could be used in the document and not in your definitions list. So some of the things that this task pane is going to pick up for you. And you can see that once we removed it from the definitions list, it's now fallen off of your task pane. Some other items here that are brought to your attention, we can just look at collateral, inconsistent capitalization, defined and not capitalized. So again, just things that you want to pay attention to. It's going to look for consistency within this document. So again, it's trying to make this document consistent with itself. So you know this document the best, and so you can come in here and make a determination if you need to update this or not. But again, it's just going to bring that to your attention. So moving right along, I'll show you our definitions list, and I think you just saw very quickly the split screen view here. So that's nice because I know before we've heard that a lot of people are printing off their definitions list, leaving them in their laps or on their desk or on a second monitor to go through their entire document. So this is a really nice feature here because you don't need to do that. You can get to your definitions in each instance of the term within your document just by clicking the arrows here. So again, just a nice feature, and you have all of your definitions in one task pane, one view, so you can quickly review these. And you'll see I'm moving left to right. This is my preference. I would suggest the same with the buttons at the top, but I think that this is a nice ease of workflow. I think, one that people are pretty familiar with, and it helps you, again, go through each item one by one. So if we look here at our names, dates, etc. So this is going to point out any date issues, address issues, company name issues, and again, just things that you might want to pay attention to, especially when we understand that you might be reusing this document or copying and pasting information from another document. So just to avoid potentially using the wrong, name and then having that go out, we've heard people losing cases and things based on information being wrong within the document. So again, just, something to pay attention to here. This could potentially be, huge risk. And so in your task pane, you're going to see those items kind of highlighted for you. And again, you'll see the informational icons and the attention icons. So if we click on this first one here, you'll see Tuesday, April 16th, and it recognizes here that the correct day of the week for April 16th is a Monday. It's not a Tuesday. So again, to quickly fix this issue, you can click on it. You'll see that it's graded out or highlight it here, and you can come directly within your document, change that Tuesday to a Monday, and now that date is no longer an issue. If we move down, you can see the next issue that it highlights here for us is an address issue. So the correct city name for the zip code is Twin Lakes and not Waukesha. So again, you know this document the best. Did you mean to use this zip code? Do we have the cities wrong? So, something that it's going to point out to you, but you ultimately have to come into the document and make a determination as to how you want to fix it. And then same with the instance here with the company name. So it recognizes that throughout the document, you used Mader, Cook and Jackson, but in this instance, you used Matter, Cook and Jackson. So this could be a typo, or maybe we had it wrong throughout the rest of the document. So again, something that this is going to highlight for you so that you can go within your document and fix the issue. And then last, we'll look at this informational icon here. You'll see that April 12th is a Saturday and not a weekday. So again, this may or may not be an issue for you, but something that this is going to highlight for you so that you can potentially look at it, review it, and address it if it needs to be addressed. And then you'll see the rest of these items here are just here for your review. Again, you can quickly, because of the task pane and this nice view, look through each one by one. But really, again, if you're in a time crunch, these icons here are going to bring to your attention things that might need to be fixed. So here's where we'll start to see our DocXtools companion set of ribbon tools or buttons in this ribbon come into play. So you'll see there's a numbers button here. We have in our task pane numbering issues highlighted here. So you can click right in that tile and take a look, listen in your task pane of all the numbering issues that exist within this document. So it lets you know that there are out of order numbers, repeated numbers. So again, something that you can see here. And you can click on these and get to each instance of it in your document. But this is really where these repair set of tools come into play to help speed up this process for you. So you don't have to come in here and fix these numbering issues one by one. You can do it using these set of tools here. And now you'll see I have guided navigation turned on. This is new or a newer version of our numbers. And you'll also see it with cross references. You may not have the same experience until you update and choose to turn that on. So it is an option upon configuration when you're installing your DocXtools companion set of tools. And so you'll see here when I click on numbers, we'll get an additional task pane. And so again, this is really made to be consistent with what you're used to seeing in Contract Companion. So you're familiar with the task pane that opens up on on the right-hand side. If you don't have guided navigation turned on, you should just see a dialog box and it's going to run through your document with autonomy. So again, we just wanted to give the option so that you have more control of what's going on within your document, what fixes you want to make, and just so you can see it. And again, here you'll see, I'll go ahead and sort my risk first. So it moved our list 2 up to the top of the task pane, and it lets us know the same. So there are issues with the numbering, which we can see here already through Contract Companion, but again, repeated numbering, out of order numbering, type numbering. And so we can choose to fix these by hitting the fix button here, or you can do the same. You can check all of the items in your task pane and fix it down here. So we'll go ahead and we'll fix these, and I'll close the task pane so we can see a little bit better within the document. So you can see here we have our numbering issues, and I'll just run the refresh, and now you can see that by clicking the numbers button here within our repair set of tools, it's now fixed all the numbering issues within our document. So again, instead of going through one by one and doing this all manually, this definitely speeds up the process by using these two in tandem. And now you can see here on our task pane, the green box with the check mark in it, again, letting you know that everything is fine. So now we'll see the same. We'll move right along to our references. So again, this is where you're going to see your cross references in your repair set of tools come into play. And it's the same. You have your task pane here. It's going to list all of your cross-referencing issues here on the right-hand side, and we have them sorted by risk. So if we look in here, we see that section 2.01 isn't found. So the cross-reference refers to content that's not anywhere in the document. So this could have been a typo. We could have meant to say 2.1 instead of 2.01. So you have the option, if you're just using Contract Companion, to come in here and assign a new target. But again, I'm going to use our repair set of tools so you can see how you can quickly repair these instead of coming in and doing it here one by one. And then again, some of the other items we see here, we have typed references. And again, you'll see this nice split screen view so you can quickly see what's being referenced. And the one thing I like to note is when you're using your cross references button here, you don't have to worry about anything being assigned unless it has 100% match. So you'll see it will call that out for us. So again, you don't have to worry about either one of these tools or sets of tools coming into your document and doing anything you didn't want it to do. So if we click on cross references here, again, you'll see with my guided navigation turned on, we have these items here. I'll sort my risk first, and you can see them again. All of our cross-reference issues that were called out in Contract Companion are also listed in your task pane here. So again, a nice view so that you can quickly see what's going on within your document. And I know I showed you in Contract Companion, but I'll show you here as well. Let's say we know that section 2.01 should be section 2.1. Again, you know this document, it's a typo. You can come in here to assign a new target. And so you can see here, we're now asking our task pane to assign it to section 2.1, and we can click on assign there, and it's now changed it and linked it within your document. You can also go through all of these and use the check all function down here and assign. So again, you know, you can come through here and see each individual cross-reference issue that remains and decide where you want to assign it. And you can do this again all together by a click of a button or going through them one by one. And you'll see when you click on them, it will take you to where they exist in the document. So again, just a nice additional tool here when you're looking at your cross-references to get them linked with a click of a button instead of having to go through each one by one. So you kind of see how you can use this task pane and go through each individual tile. Again, I usually go left to right, but again, your personal preference. So here's where you can continue moving through these, but depending on your time, what I like to recommend is going to final checks. And so final checks here, when you click on it, is going to open the task pane, and it's going to let you know what incomplete items you have or possible editing mistakes. And again, this is really where we're going to see our set of repair or cleanup items here, especially under this cleanup functionality for DocXtools Companion. We're going to see that come into play here. And so some things to note here within your final checks. There are number discrepancies. So if we click on this, in our final checks, one thing it's going to let us know is that the written number 1 million doesn't match the number that's in parentheses. So again, could be a huge issue. Or it might be minor, but something worth, noting, and you're definitely going to want to fix this issue. So again, if you meant 1 million, you can come in here and update the number in parentheses, and then you can see it drop off the task pane for you. So again, nice to highlight because this could be a potentially huge error for you. And then again, inconsistent punctuation, missing punctuation. You'll see bracketed text. So we recognize this as a placeholder. It's going to call that out for you. Same with highlighted text. So you can see here that this is left as highlighted. So again, it's probably a placeholder, but something you're going to want to pay attention to. And all of these issues here, again, there might not cause any potential risk within your document, but it doesn't look as buttoned up or as neat. And if you're collaborating on these documents with other people, there could be different preferences in fonts, sizes, and font types. Or again, just from copying and pasting, you're going to have different quote styles. So you're going to want to clean all of that up just to make this document look like it came from one person again, just because your reputation usually, has to do with a lot of your documents. You'll see here we have a placeholder for our table of contents. So we'll go ahead and insert a table of contents using our button here. And so you'll see here, this is the dialog box that I was speaking about. We are getting guided navigation for table of contents as well. So that will look a little bit different soon, but you'll see here when we click on table of contents, we get our dialog box. It's going to ask you to pick your levels. In this instance, we'll pick 2. It's going to run through your document and it's going to insert your table of contents after the title page if one exists. So again, it's a nice thing to have here. This is a time saver. So if you're trying to insert a table of contents, you can do that very quickly with the click of a button. So again, a huge, huge time saver. And then you can also come in here and just remove that place TOC here. And that's what would get it out of your task pane here. So once you insert that, again, you can remove it and it's gone from your list. And then some other items, again, we'll take a look at for our consistency under our cleanup set of tools here, under your repair set. You have conform font type and conform font size. So again, this will sweep through your document and it's going to pick the majority of what's used within this document. So again, if you're copying and pasting or collaborating on this with someone else, you can come in here and make sure the font type and size are all the same. It will make spacing between words consistent and sentences as well. And then you'll see here you have your option to change your quotes from curly to straight or straight to curly. And again, we know this is a personal preference, so you can just come right in here and with the click of a button, make all of that consistent. And then you'll see some other cleanup items down here. So remove highlighting. We saw in your task pane that there was a sentence that was highlighted meant for someone to review. So you can quickly come through and make sure there's nothing like that left within your document. Same with removing drawings and empty paragraphs. So again, just some nice cleanup tools at your fingertips to help you kind of breeze through and make your document look more put together and more consistent with itself. And so I also like to point out these buttons down here at the bottom of your task pane. So you'll see check all will do just that. It will check off every item here in your task pane. You can mark items as reviewed. And so if we go ahead and we click this button here and you'll see for payment information, if you want to mark it as reviewed, you'll see what it does is it'll gray it out and move it to the bottom of your list. So if you've already taken the time to proofread what's in your task pane and you want to quickly move through it, you can mark it as reviewed and have it move to the bottom of your task pane. So again, just a nice feature to have. If you want to flag an item to come back at a later time, you can. You just check the box and you can flag it. You'll see here that it marked it in your task pane as flagged. And when you use that analyze, when you click on the analyze button and the original task pane shows up, you'll see the flagged items there as well. You have a report functionality down here. So we know a lot of workflows consist of collaboration. So sometimes these are coming from a secretary to an attorney and vice versa. So if you ever wanted to create a report of what's in your task pane here, you can do the same. You can check off the items in your task pane, click on a report, and it will launch a separate Word document for you that you can then, mark up or pass along. You don't need to have Contract Companion or any set of Litera tools in order to pass that report along. And it's just nice for those who like to have it. You can mark up your documents here as well, and you can also add native Word comments. But one of the other things I like to point out is the question mark down here at the bottom. And so this will launch our Customer Center. It's going to take you to a knowledge base article or something related to wherever you are in the task pane. So at the moment, we're looking at final checks. If you were to click on this button here, it will launch more information about final checks. So you can look through if you wanted to see best practices, or if you need more information, you'll notice that you'll have the option of contacting our support team. They're fantastic. They're there to answer the questions that you might have. Doesn't matter how big or how small, but they're really there to help you, help navigate whatever issues you might be having at the moment with the document or with where you are in the task pane. So definitely utilize them. And I also like to highlight our DocER service. So if you're ever having an issue with your document, and it's not just a styling issue because our DocER team won't style a document for you, but if you're having major issues with your document, you can send it to them. They will fix those issues for you and send it back. They're going to detail how they fixed it for you so that hopefully you can do it yourself the next time, or just so you know what was done. And then again, some other things I like to highlight are you can use track changes. So if you have a large document and you want to see everything that's being done by using any of these buttons here or your task pane, you can turn on your track changes so that you can take a look at everything that may or may not have been updated within your document. And again, this isn't the only thing that you can do. You're definitely, there's some wiggle room for how you want to utilize these tools and how they work in tandem with each other. But this is just like what I like to highlight as our best practices. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. Again, you can reach our support team, or you can contact our adoption team at adopt@litera.com. Thanks.